Welcome to the TCAT 10-Minute Take. It is I, your host, Cherrae L. Stuart, and with me, as always, is Don the Legend Chambers. This is the 10-minute version of our normal TCAT podcast where we talk about entertainment and the industry and independent filmmaking and all kinds of other stuff. But in the 10-minute take, we only talk about one movie only, and give you our hopefully spoiler-free-ish review.
Yes.
Today's movie is X-Men Dark Phoenix. So, before we get started, make sure you click that subscribe button and you click on that bell to get notifications for all the 10-minute takes as soon as they drop. So, Don will start the timer this time because I don't have mine. I am
got a timer.
Unprepared.
All right.
As always, he will start. So, whenever you are ready.
And start. All right. Starting. Okay. Dark Phoenix. What can I say positively about this movie? Okay. It's filmed in color. It has a fairly decent runtime. Boy. And that's about it. Look, this movie should just not even have happened. Look, once Marvel acquired the rights, they really should have looked at this and said, you know what? At the most, since we've already shot this thing, let's just make it a straight to video, straight to Redbox. Let's spare these actors and the general public from this, because this is a movie that screams, you know what? We've basically given up. We've never had any idea of what to do. Even though we almost reset it with, I believe it was X-Men First Class when they went to use McAvoy and Fassbender and all, and that was a glimmer of hope that, oh hey, I think they've actually done something good with the X-Men, and they might be able to do something well with this, and then in typical fashion. With movie studios that aren't Marvel, it seems, or Pixar, they've thrown it away, just trashed it, run it into the ground. Look, this movie, you're watching it, and it does not actually follow the actual, Dark Phoenix from the comics. I got educated on the whole storyline, and when I was told, I was like, interesting. And then when I watched the movie, I was like, none of that's here. Like really, none of it. I was like, so what was the point of even bringing this up? So, and a lot of this movie is a lot of Jean. If she's not crying or angsty, it's some other X-Men person, angsty or angry at Professor X. Somehow he's the bad guy in all this. And look, this was like a Days of Our Lives episode. It was a big soap opera, and I'm wondering, why should I be interested in this internal soap opera? Is like, okay, are we going to do something? And honest to goodness, nothing of any real consequence really happens till the very end, and then even then, you saw that coming a mile away. Even the supposed bad guy alien Jessica Chastain, I'm like, okay, well, where did they come from? What's their whole motivation here? And I'm like, why? I don't think that actually follows what was in the Dark Phoenix canon in the comic books either. So I'm like, and what's their It was just like, it's a big why in this movie. It's like, why anything? Just why? And yeah, it's just like, honestly, I was just, I'm just counting down the days to when Marvel gets a hold of this. None of it made sense. None of it was exciting. Fassbender obviously was just in this for the check, or it was a contractual obligation. He was very not necessary to be in this. all the characters. I mean, this is what, 1992 or 82 supposedly.
92.
They look just as young as they do in all the other movies. So I'm like, I guess none of them age. I don't. Or are we just ignoring everything else? Logic went out the window with this movie. They just threw them together and says, "Hey, make a movie, label it X-Men, and people will go see it." Which thankfully they did not, because it's trash. I'm basically, I got nothing more really to say. I don't want to waste any more time. I wouldn't go see this in a movie theater. Period. I don't care if it's $6. I wouldn't go see it in Redbox. I might not even watch it if it's streaming. Bootleg it. Illegally download this movie. And then after you do that, just delete it, because you're not missing anything. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, I might give it a 2 because people worked on it. So I'll give them credit for that. But besides that,
Since theft of intellectual property goes against everything we as independent filmmakers stand for, on our scale, Don, would you watch this on the TV in the gym?
Ooh, I might not, because it might demotivate me. I don't even think I'd give it gym time. Like, no.
So we're just throwing it in the trash.
It's trash worthy.
All right, just throw it in the trash. We here at TCAD do not condone the theft of intellectual property, because we are content creators, and we want you. These people, God bless them, bless their hearts.
They try.
those crew, and those costumers, and those set designers, and those graphic artists. Yeah. Just bless their hearts, and don't. We're not gonna steal money for them, but yikes. So I'm gonna go ahead and say, I didn't love it. I did not love it.
Yeah.
This movie for me was like, you ever heard the phrase "final dump on a crap cake"? You have not heard that phrase?
That's it.
That's the phrase I'm making up today. It was the final dump on a 20-year crap cake. Like, the X-Men are my favorite Marvel property overall, and have always been. And Fox, over the years, has done a terrible job of adapting it. There's been some bright spots, but like, it's only bright spots in the way that some people like to smell their own farts. Like it's just, it's not great.
But it's true. But it's true.
Just, yeah. And so everything about this, from the 2010 reboot, we were like, okay, maybe they will fix the timeline that has been Bryan Singered up. And they just didn't. They had the perfect opportunity to go back and fix the timeline. They had the perfect opportunity to go back and make some coherentness out of this monstrosity. And they just didn't do it. For whatever reason, they just wouldn't do it. And I'm like, what kind of darkest timeline do we live in where X-Men 3 isn't even the worst version of X-Men 3? Like, how is that even possible? That now I'm living in a world where X-Men 3 is not even the worst version of X-Men 3. Yeah. And I am heartbroken, I will say. I've always hated the Jennifer Lawrence version of Mystique, always, because this is not Mystique. Mystique is not a hero, necessarily in the sense of the way they have her portrayed as a hero leading the team. She might be an anti-hero at times. She's definitely way more complicated than this character that we've gotten to know. She's also Nightcrawler's mother, which, having them in the same movie together and not have anything to do with one another is devastating. It's 1992 and everybody's ages are all weird, like super weird. There's no Wolverine involved, which is, honestly, Logan that should have been the final movie of this Fox crap show. And then they could have went out on a high note, because that movie was the one movie I would say of all of these movies that was worth really investing time, like worth the X-Men properties.
Mm-hmm.
Like really lived up to what these characters stand for, what like that Logan movie was a fluke, apparently.
Yeah.
The first X-Men, it wasn't the worst. I didn't hate it, but I mean, I was whatever, a young person at the time, and it was cool. You're like seeing the X-Men for the first time on the big screen, and you're like, I can't wait to see. We were young and enthusiastic, and we didn't know any better. And then they just didn't get better. Like Marvel movies, if you go back and you watch the first Guardians of the Galaxy, and you see kind of how crappy Thanos looks, like he looks like Grimace for real, and then you watch Guardians of the Galaxy 2, and then you watch Endgame, and you see the evolution of these movies. If you go back and do a Marvel marathon, you will see these movies get steadily better. The X-Men movies have gotten steadily worse, except for like a couple of peaks here and there. And I'm bummed out about it. And I would say that this movie is not worth the movie theater. This movie is not worth the red box. This movie is not worth streaming. This movie might, honestly, if I had never seen it before and it was on the TV in the gym, I would probably watch it. But if I, now that I have seen it, I'm flipping over to Law & Order SVU because nothing about this Phoenix Saga. I mean, and then in the end, it's like everything went back to normal. Like, what did they tell the government was going on? Like, they're just living their normal lives again, and the school's fine. What did they tell them? It was aliens? Like, I don't understand. They didn't even wrap it up. And I know that this movie was supposed to be 2 movies. God, I mean, it was supposed to be 2 movies, and then the studio scrapped the second one, so they scrambled and did some reshoots to make it be 1 movie. Mm-hmm. But they should have just scrapped the whole thing and said, you know what, Logan, that's our swan song. Let's go out on a high note. Peace. But maybe there was some contractual obligations we don't know about with these actors who were playing the younger versions. Storm had nothing to do. She made stupid, nonsensical decisions, and her dialogue was awful because none of it made sense. You're like, she's gonna fight for Jean Grey, and then she's gonna fight against Jean Grey, but then she doesn't have any stake in Jean Grey whatsoever. Like it felt like a bunch of strangers who hadn't apparently known each other for a decade.
Yeah, exactly.
Just being strangers, and things happen.
Wait, no. Nothing actually really happens.
Yeah, nothing actually really happened.
They talk a lot to each other very angrily and blame.
But you don't feel like they even know each other.
Right. It's like oh my God.
I mean, you said it was like Days of Our Lives, but honestly, it was like Passions or one of them other ones. Like Days of Our Lives, at least you have some history and some connection between these. These were like the writers were writing out pages as they were filming it, and they were like, okay, well, let's make this happen here. Shoot these. Like, it didn't make any sense for any of the characters, and they have decades, Don, decades of source material to put something together, and they just. I mean, and I get that they think that people want to see these actors one last time, but then don't set the movie in 1992 if you want us to see these actors one last time, because they're not going to be old enough. And if you're not going to recast and get like a tertiary, like a somewhere. I mean, we already know from X. I'm probably over time, and we're over.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Throw it in the trash. Just throw it in the trash. I'm not going to get into it anymore because. Now that, the bright spot of our villainous overlords of Disney taking over all of the Fox properties, turning into this media conglomerate where eventually we're only going to have one channel and it's going to be Disney. Oh, yeah. Or it's going to be the Disney, AT&T, Warner Brothers super complex. Super channel. That'll be the one bright spot in our Big Brother, just dystopian, darkest timeline world that we're going to live in. So as they scan my face to make sure that I'm watching the government mandated allotment of time for watching entertainment, and I watch the new X-Men movies that come out of Marvel and come out of Disney, at least it won't be any worse than this.
It just can't.
It's like just catastrophe of a movie. So I'll go ahead, Disney, microchip me now.
This movie
and we'll just
makes like a lot of the DC movies amazing by comparison.
How?
How?
How? Why?
And this movie.
This movie was even worse than the new Fantastic Four.
Oh,
How?
God, yes.
How you do this?
And even in that new Fantastic Four, even less happens in that movie, but it still seems better than this movie.
Less happens.
I know. Even less happens, but it still seems way better than this movie.
And I don't hate these actors. I mean, I love it's not the actors. It's not the actors. It's not the CGI, although that was a little iffy at times. You know, Jessica Chastain had nothing to do except for vaguely bored.
It's honestly, they should have walked up to the actors and said, "Listen, I know we're obligated to do one more movie, but here's a check," and then just send them on their way. That would have been money better spent than actually making this movie.
Or just banked, if they could have somehow banked those contracts, and then when Disney took over and Marvel took over and they remade the X-Men, consider giving them a pay or play option to opt out. They would have at least been the right ages by then, you know, for certain storylines if they want to go that route, or just recast the whole thing and start over.
Yeah,
like
it was
it wasn't worth the film that it's printed on, and that is,
and it's not even printed on film.
Heartbreaking. No, digital madness. Like, it was just, don't even steal this. Don't steal it. You'll just feel bad about yourself, and you should.
You just wasted bandwidth.
It's. I love the X-Men so much.
And they've just shit on your dreams.
You know, like, we gotta go. Tell them where they can find us.
On that note, we want you to subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications. But to find us and everything that we offer, go to tcadnetwork.com. There at TCAD Network, you'll find our podcast. You'll also find Good Morning Antioch and The Reading. And also you'll find all of our 10-minute take episodes, as well as where we are on Facebook, where we are on Twitter. You'll get our email address, you'll get our phone number. All the ways you can contact us are going to be right there in one nice, beautiful location on the interwebs at tcadnetwork.com. This kind of really brought it all down, you know?
I know, it's such a bummer. But go see Toy Story 4. That was great.
Listen, yeah, absolutely. Because don't see this movie. Don't. Just don't. I mean,
go see Toy Story 4.
Go see. Go see that. Don't see this movie. This is bad.
All right, bye.